5, call sign Bravo 3 has moved south down Strand Road into William Street past Barrier 14 and is at the junction Rossville Street, William Street. Call sign Bravo 59 has moved down south through the church to the area of William Street, directly south of the church. Yeah, Roger. Well, Roger to all that.
They fucking shut them off for nothing. Dirty bastard. Jesus! Hey, can nobody get an ambulance? Joe! Hey, Joe! Jesus!
I went with anger at my heel, through bogside of the bitter zeal, Jesus pity, on a day of cold and drizzle and decay. A month had passed, yet there remained a murder smell that stung and stained. On flats and alleys over all, it hung on battered roof and wall, on wreck and rubbish scattered thick, on sullen steps and pitted brick. And when I came where 13 died, it shriveled up my heart. I sighed and looked about that brutal place of rage and terror and disgrace. Then my moistened lips grew dry. I heard an answering sigh. There, in a ghostly pool of blood, a crumpled phantom hugged the mud.
Once there lived a hooligan. A pig came up, and away he ran. Here lies one in blood and bones, who lost his life for throwing stones.
More voices rose. I turned and saw 3 corpses forming, red and raw, from dirt and stone. Each upturned face stared unseeing from its place.
Behind this barrier, blighters 3, we scrambled back and made to flee. The guns cried stop, and here lie we.
Then from left and right they came, more mangled corpses, bleeding, lame, holding their wounds. They chose their ground, ghost by ghost, without a sound. And one stepped forward, soiled and white.
Bomber I travelled light, 4 pounds of nails and gelignite. About my person hid so well, they seemed to vanish where I fell. When the bullet stopped my breath, a doctor sought the cause of death. He upped my shirt, undid my fly, twice he moved my limbs awry, and noticed nothing. By and by, a soldier, with his sharper eye, beheld the 4 elusive rockets, stuffed in my coat and trouser pockets. Yes, they must be strict with us, even in death so treacherous.
Zero, this is 7-6. 2 high-velocity shots heard in the area of the Rossville Flats. People are lying on the ground now there. Over. 0, Roger.
He faded, and another said,
We 3 met close when we were dead. Into an armoured car they piled us, where our mingled blood defiled us. Certain, if not dead before, to suffocate upon the floor. Careful bullets in the back stopped our terrorist attack, and so 3 dangerous lives are done, judged, condemned, and shamed in one.
That spectre faded in his turn, a harsher stirred, and spoke in scorn.
The shame is theirs in word and deed, who prate of justice, practice greed, and act in ignorant fury. Then officers and gentlemen send to their courts for the Most High to tell us, did we really die? Does it need recourse to law to tell 10,000 what they saw? law that lets them, caught red-handed, halt the game and leave it stranded. Summon up a sworn inquiry and dump their conscience in the diary. During which hiatus, should their legal basis vanish, good, the thing is rapidly arranged. Where's the law that can't be changed? The news is out, the troops were kind. Impartial justice has to find we'd be alive and well today if we had let them have their way. Yet England, even as you lie, you give the facts that you deny. Spread the lie with all your power, all that's left, it's turning sour. Friend and stranger, bride and brother, son and sister, father, mother, all not blinded by your smoke. Photographers who caught your stroke, the priests that blessed our bodies spoke and wagged our blood in the world's face. The truth will out to your disgrace.
He flushed and faded. Pale and grim, a choking spectre followed him.
Take a bunch of stunted shoots, a tangle of transplanted roots, ropes and rifles, feathered nests, some dried colonial interests, a hard unnatural union grown in a bed of blood and bone, tongue of serpent, gut of hog, spiced with spleen of underdog. Stir in with oaths of loyalty, sectarian supremacy, and heat to make a proper botch in a bouillon of bitter scotch. Last, the choice ingredient, you, now to crown your Irish stew, boil it over, make a mess, a most imperial success.
Get going, they're coming up here. No, quick! The horse is coming up here. Here's the fucking police army numbers in the fucking guns! Boss, don't stop it!
What did we do to get the surface? Don't let anybody go. They took shots at him.
That boy shot there?
They fired that man there. See that dress man there? Yes. They fired 3 shots at him.
5-4 Alpha. A car just pulled up to block figures 20. In the car was one dead man and one wounded man. He's being sent now to this location so that Starlight can have a look at him before transferring on to Arthur Gilman Hospital.
He capered weakly, racked with pain, his dead hair plastered in the rain. The group was silent once again. It seemed the moment to explain that sympathetic politicians say our violent traditions, backward looks and bitterness keep us in this dire distress. We must forget and look ahead, nurse the living, not the dead. My words died out. A phantom said,
Here lies one who breathed his last, firmly reminded of the past. A trooper did it, on one knee, in tones of brute authority.
That harsher spirit who before had flushed with anger spoke once more.
Simple lessons cut most deep. This lesson in our hearts we keep. Persuasion, protest, arguments, the milder forms of violence, are nothing but polite neglect. England, the way to your respect is via murderous force, it seems. You push us to your own extremes. You condescend to hear us speak only when we slap your cheek. And yet we lack the last technique. We rap for order with a gun, the issue simplified to one. Then your democracy insists you mustn't talk with terrorists. White and yellow, black and blue have learnt their history from you. Divide and ruin, muddled true. Not principled, but politic. In strength, perfidious,
weak a trick, to make good men a trifle sick. We speak in wounds, behold this mess, my course upon your politesse.
Sorry, the priest is around at the moment. We girl have to... No.
Yeah, this is 54 Alpha. The reference report from call sign 90 Alpha on shooting. Our call sign Quebec 23 has had one low velocity shot fired at them from Charlotte Street, hit one of our soldiers in flak jacket. We don't believe he's a casualty. One round was returned, no hit. Subsequent to that, call sign Quebec 21 had one round fired at it and 2 shots were returned. And no casualties on either side. Over. That's zero, Roger.
Here.
That's a duty for taking the photos. That's a duty for taking the photos. Come. That's a duty for taking the photos. Come.
Yes, I know.
Did you get hit?
You shouldn't have gotten in the window.
4253 1589er at 16:45 hours. Wait. One round returned at the gun spotted there, but no hit claimed. Over. Zero. Hello, Zero, this is 54 Alpha. One dead person who was returned to this location has a nail bomb in his pocket. We request Felix to come down and sort it out. Over. Zero.
Another ghost stood forth and wet dead lips that had not spoken yet.
My curse on the cunning and the bland, on gentlemen who loot a land they do not care to understand, who keep the natives on their paws with ready lash and rotten laws. Then if the beasts erupt in rage, give them a slightly larger cage, and, in scorn and fear combined, turn them against their own kind. The game runs out of room at last. A people rises from its past. The going gets unduly tough, and you have surely had enough. The time has come to yield your place with condescending show of grace. An empire builder handing on, we reap the ruin when you've gone. All your heirs heap behind you, promise that do not bind you. Hopes in conflict cramp commissions, faiths exploited and traditions.
Bloody sputum filled his throat. He stopped and coughed to clear it out, and finished with his eyes aglow.
You came, you saw, you conquered, so you gorged and it was time to go. Good riddance, we'd forget released, but for the rubbish of your feast, the slaps and scraps that fell to earth and sprang to arms and dragon birth. Sashed and bowler-hatted glum, apprentices of fife and drum, high and dry, abandoned guards of dismal streets and empty yards, drilled at the code word, true religion, you strut and mutter like a pigeon. Not an inch up the queen, who used their walls like a latrine, or scribbled magic at their call straight from the nearest music hall. Pope and devil intertwine, 2 cardboard kings appear and join in one more battle of the boyne. Who could love them, God above?
Yet pity is akin to love.
The 13th corpse beside him said, smiling in its bloody head,
And though there's reason for alarm, endureness, and a lack of charm, their cursed plight calls out for patience. They, even they, with other nations, have a place, if we can find it. Love our changeling, guard and mind it. Doomed from birth, a cursed heir, theirs is the hardest lot to bear, yet not impossible, I swear. If England would but clear the air and brood at home on her disgrace, everything to its own place, base their walls of dole and fear, and be of reasonable cheer. Good men every day inherit Father's foulness with the Spirit. Purge the filth and do not stir it. Let them out. At least let in a breath or two of oxygen, so they may settle down for good and mix themselves in the common blood. We are what we are, and that is mongrel pure. What nation's not, where any stranger hung his hat and seized a lover where she sat?
We saw that fella when he stamped the flag. I know. And he was running against the alleyway and he was shot and fell. And he moved his hand, they shot another bullet on him. And not one could get out near him. The fella called for help.
Hello, Zero, this is 90 Alpha. We reported shooting at a gunman in a factory junction, Abbey Street, Woodland Street at 16:40 hours. This was wrong. He was shot at 16:56 and a man was seen to fall over. Zero, Roger. Hello, Zero, this is 90 Alpha. There's some photographers at the Rossville flats taking photographs of the civil rights banner covered in blood over. Zero, Roger.
So there's a man shot there today. His friend, his workmate shot there today. A man of 60-something shot there. Tell him what the video is. Tell him what
I know it will go around the world, you know.
That's not
This is the beginning of the end for them. They can't figure it out.
Bastards are still alive, people. And tell them what the Dublin government is doing.
Mama, you're doing the
Well, talk to the man. She does right. I mean, boys, Mama, don't. Mister, tell the Dublin government that they're no good either. Tell the Dublin government that he's not a man. And I wish you that he was slaughtered everybody's family.
You're crying, everybody crying.
I'm watching their own Irish people getting slaughtered.
It's not good, Dublin. Don't rely on Dublin. Don't rely on Dublin. Don't rely on Dublin.
Dublin's no good. Don't check on me. No good.
I know you're right.
Tell them that the people of Ireland for 800 years of them, and we want to learn.
Mama, don't mind.
She does right. Let her shout it for getting out of your system now. Everybody's shut out today. Trying to fight for their rights and really shout those who's turning their guns on them. Because they wanted to play the last planters. Because they promised the Irish men that they would stop us to show that they were dead for done it.
They will pay for this, you know. They will pay.
The Irish are dominate their feet on the our ground. I suffer them. God's curse on them, and the curse of the dead generation of Irish. Quote me. Curse of the dead generation of every Irish man that never laid down his life. May the curse of every Irish man lay down.
He ceased and faded. Zephyr blew and all the others faded too. I stood like a ghost. My fingers strayed along the fatal barricade. The gentle rainfall drifting down over Columkilla's town would not refresh, only distill in silent grief from hill to hill.